Poundbury, or as locals call it, Poundbury, is the town a king built. And it's got everything. A massive park. Queen Mother Square, is it a roundabout or not? Who knows? Fancy looking buildings. You know it's posh when he's got Waitrose. Come inside the Duchess of Cornwall. It's the urbanist centre of Dorchester. It's got 4,000 odd people living here, nice looking buildings, full of independent businesses, but the place feels a bit weird. It's due to be completed in 2027 and have a population of around 6,000 people. But what is Poundbury? Well, if you want the too long, didn't read version, King Charles wants to build a town, was given this land to build on, hired an architect and some builders to build it all, and people started to move in. But you don't want that, you want the full explanation. So here's me explaining it. The land is owned by the Duchy of Cornwall estate. The eldest surviving son of the monarch is the Duke of Cornwall, and he helps manage the estate's wider property portfolio. This in turn generates income for the estate and the Duke of Cornwall. The government considers the Duchy to be a crown body and therefore exempt from paying corporation tax. This tax-exempt status has been a controversial subject, but Prince Charles voluntarily paid income tax on the Duchy income from 1993 to his ascension to the throne in 2022. Royal finances are long, complicated and complex, and something I won't go through here, but one for another day. In 1987, the land was earmarked by the then West Dorset District Council as an area where Dorchester can expand into. This was music to the ears of Prince Charles. When he wasn't sending naughty letters to Camilla, Prince Charles bemoaned the state of the country's buildings in modern style. He was so passionate about this that he later wrote a book about urban and rural planning and architecture called A Vision of Britain.
What was rebuilt after the war has succeeded in wrecking London's skyline and obliterating the view of St Paul's in a jostling scrum of skyscrapers, all competing for attention. Can you imagine the French doing this sort of thing in Paris, on the banks of the Seine, round Notre Dame, or the Venetians building tower blocks next to San Marco? When did we lose our sense of vision? How could those in control become so out of step with so many Londoners who felt powerless to resist the destruction of their city? There is no need for London to ape Manhattan. We already possessed a skyline. They needed to create one. And there is no need for buildings, just because they house computers and word processors, to look like machines themselves.
Prince Charles wants to work with the council to build the town, but instead of expanding Dorchester, he wants to do his own thing. Poundbury. A place with nice looking buildings, affordable housing, walkable community, and had a mix of uses. Earmarking about 400 acres of his land for the urban extension, Prince Charles appointed architect and urban planner and Harold Ramis lookalike Leon Krier to come up with an overall concept for Poundbury. He challenged him to create a new urban environment which was sympathetic to Dorchester's traditional architecture, according to the principles he had laid out in the Vision of Britain.
We've got so used over the last 40 or 50 years to looking at planning and building and design, local and urban design, in one particular way. Like you only build housing estates, which always have cul-de-sacs. The point I feel we ought to re-examine again is how to design on a traditional basis again. I mean, what I wanted to try and see was a development, if it had to be, along more civilized lines, to show that it's possible to have a development on different principles to what we've been brought up to believe in the last 40 years.
This created the Poundbury Masterplan, and this was shown off at a planning weekend in Dorchester. Prince Charlie attended as residents and other interested parties were invited to share their thoughts about the design, which were incorporated into the plans before planning permissions were sought. The master plan divided Poundbury into 4 distinctive quarters, each of which was to be planned out by hand-picked architects. The whole suburb was designed to create a sustainable community which achieves an attractive, modern and pleasing place in which people can live, work, shop and relax. Traditional architecture, everything you could want within a walking distance, less reliance on vehicles. It was a 15-minute town before it became hijacked by conspiracy theorists. Despite the fanfare, people weren't too happy about it.
Caveat vernoveria, we say. Beware, Dorchester. It's a very dangerous project.
I think, quite frankly, Mr. Krier's ideas simply don't match into modern living. I think a lot of people want to live where they're close to where they work. It depends on the kind of industry which is provided.
We also think that the fact that there is some interest in providing something that's exciting and new, rather than just what I tend to say rather nastily, the old Castle Park syndrome of just houses and houses and houses round roads. This at least is worth looking at.
I think we're going back to the old days now where you had a pit and you built houses round it.
Construction of Poundbury has been ongoing since October 1993. It's very clear what the Duchy wants. Poundbury's architects were given strict instructions to use traditional materials like sandstone and slate, conforming their designs to templates inspired by Dorset architecture. Anyone buying or renting property in Poundbury is bound by legally enforceable agreements dictating how they can modify the structure and its landscapes. We'll get on to it a bit later about these very quirky rules. Walking around the place, there's a real Georgian feel to the town. King Charlie wanted it to be based on traditional architecture and new urbanist philosophy, but also make it very environmentally friendly. He also wanted the town to be one where there was a strong community of shops, businesses, private and social housing mixed in together to create a nice community. There are also no high-rise buildings, and housing was designed to include space for home offices and playrooms. The streets are wide and pedestrianised. In fact, there's no street signs, blind bends, no stop signs. The roads are all designed to follow a 70-metre rule where every 70 metres something is meant to slow down motorists. In practice, this urges caution and responsible driving, a bit like driving around an estate as if a child is suddenly about to run out onto the road. But on the other hand, people have been left confused about how to properly drive in Poundbury. Queen Mother Square sums this up. It's got street signs that would make it appear like a roundabout, but in reality, it's a free-for-all. Dorset Council even had to clarify that these signs are to show what direction in which vehicles should travel around the square. Over the years, the royal family has dropped by to check out what he's been doing on its Minecraft save. Here's the Queen doing her weekly shop, Prince Philip raiding picnic baskets, and Prince Charles getting swarmed by children. As well as monuments to past royals and grand historic looking architecture, including the reconstruction of the old Jubilee Hall, it boasts affordable housing for thousands of people. When finished, Poundbury will have a population of around 6,000 people. Properties in Poundbury are highly sought after due to the quality of the development, how clean and well maintained the areas are, and how unique the town is.
There genuinely is. I mean, I know my neighbours 4 or 5 doors up by name. Previous council estates I lived on, you don't get that.
My core business is residents, and we do have people that come in the same day every week, or 2 or 3 times a week, always have the same thing, and they love the fact that we know, what they want as soon as they walk in. They don't even have to give us their order, and it's that really strong community feel that I really like.
You don't sense any tension up here or any separation between communities, if I can put it that way. There's actually everybody, whether they live here or they work here or they've got a business here, it feels as though they've all got a stake in the place.
There is also integrated affordable housing throughout the development, and indistinguishable from private housing. The Duchy say on its website that 35% of the housing under construction in Poundbury is affordable housing for rental or shared ownership by local people. Now, homes in Poundbury are affordable to an extent. To afford a place in Poundbury, you would either need to sell an organ on the black market or set up an OnlyFans account. The new suburb has created around 2,000 jobs in more than 200 shops, cafes, offices and factories, including around 550 who are employed on construction sites across the project. With sizable businesses like Dorset Cereals and the House of Dorchester chocolate factory having relocated here, Poundbury has added an estimated £330 million to the local economy. Wow, Poundbury sounds like a lovely place to live, doesn't it? Well, sorta, but there are some constraints and asterisks attached to living in Poundbury. Want to paint your house or door? You just got to make sure it's one of the approved colours. Can you replace your rotting wooden window frames with more economical UPC windows? Ha! Not a chance. Want to grow a hedge? Well, you can, but make sure it's indigenous and in keeping with the area. In fact, one woman went to war with the Duchy of Cornwall estate. Alexandria Wilson-Jones was at the centre of a standoff with the Duchy for several months in 2022 when she refused to remove plants from outside her home. She didn't back down and claimed there's nothing in the tenancy agreement against placing plants outside her home. She was even served a Section 21 notice which calls for the landlord to require possession of the property. These rules are in place because Poundbury is subject to covenants and associated rules, which bind all the properties and their owners and occupiers. You come at the Duchy, you best not miss.
So come on, your Omar's coming, man! Oh shit!
Since its foundation 30 years ago, Poundbury's had a mixed reception. It was described as fake, heartless, authoritarian and grimly cute by architecture critic Stephen Bailey in 2008. Some online reviews liken the town to being a film set or being like in the Truman Show.
Some people in the comments and on Instagram messaged me and said that they didn't think Poundbury had aged very well, but I don't think, like, the aesthetic of the place isn't really the problem. Obviously things age, things get weather worn a bit, but there's just not a lot of life to the place. That's the main problem. Such a grand vision. It's almost a bit like Wild West town sort of vibes as well.
But in recent years people have been more sympathetic towards Poundbury. In fact, the Sunday Times said it was one of the best places to live in the southwest in its latest guide. In its guide it said, Poundbury turns 30 this year and it's aging gracefully. King Charles' planned town was widely mocked when he was launched, but it now looks like Poundbury is ahead of its time. It has lots of affordable homes, renewable energy and a walkable layout that means you're never more than 10 minutes stroll from buying a pint of milk. Now I live near Poundbury and it is nice, but it does feel a bit out of place if you look at wider Dorset. Everything looks as if it's been here for decades, but we've only really been here for a few years. People say it's like a movie set, and to be honest with you, I get that. Just don't be surprised if a light suddenly drops in the sky. A new memorial garden is being constructed for Prince Philip. It's been worked on since March and it's set to be officially opened in June this year. I'm sure that Prince William will enjoy aimlessly walking around the place and wondering where he has to build a massive statue of his dad. What this would mean is that King Charlie and Prince William will come down as King and Duchy of Cornwall for the first time since the Queen's death. But it will serve as an opportunity to see what's going to happen to Poundbury going forward, what role Prince William will have in his dad's toy town, but also to see the town a king built. With the town nearing completion, who knows what will happen next. Thank you very much for watching my documentary on Poundbury. It was really interesting to explore its history, how the town was built, meeting people and found around the town. If you did enjoy this video, please drop me a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. If you have any more issues or topics you want me to explain or explore, please let me know in the comments below.